Sure.
One of the main purposes of my project is to try and use land that's not normally been used for agriculture, and that's basically what urban agriculture is. Over time, we have found that our current industrial agricultural production system may not be the best thing for us and for the planet. One of the things that I was interested in doing was looking at other places to grow food. When you do that, you have certain restrictions in urban environments. One is you're stuck with the soil you have. What happens mostly in urban areas is when they dig a foundation to build a house. Basically, they take the subsoil and then they put it up on top, so the soil profile's been inverted as they plow it off. So you're basically trying to grow on subsoil. What I kind of recommend is to use landscape cloth to plant into, and then we plant grassed alleyways. And having grassed alleyways gives us the opportunity to not only reduce a lot of moisture, but it keeps dust down, gives you some place to walk. When you put on the landscape cloth, that also stops your plants from coming into contact with the soil. I tried 3 different ways of growing food. I had big pots, where I grew the trees and the bushes in big pots, and tomatoes in pots, and strawberries, and kale, and beans. And then I also made some vertical agriculture, where I hung the pots on this cattle panels, they call them, which is thick wire. And so instead of just having 2 rows of strawberries, I had 6 rows. So I tripled my yield in this small space. The second treatment I looked at was to make raised beds. And we didn't just, when I put the pots on, I didn't disrupt the asphalt. The second treatment, we threw down about 15 inches or so of wood chips. Then we put in a potting mix on top of that. So I had 30-inch, approximately 30-inch high raised beds. We planted into that using landscape cloth. We did some vertical agriculture as well with that, where we used flower boxes or trays. So we hung these trays up and grew things in there. And the fourth treatment that we did, third treatment we did, was to use, we cut out the asphalt. So I used an asphalt cutter, cut out where we were planting, scooped out the asphalt, scooped out the gravel, the soil, refilled it, making a little raised bed, about 8 or 10 inches, refilled it with potting mix, so we had that much of good soil in there. But our alleyways were then asphalt, so we didn't have to worry about weeding that. We used the landscape cloth, used the same techniques of early, mid, and late planting that I talked about. We had water. We also used high tunnels. And you'll see this in a lot of urban plots. These are temporary plastic structures. They're like temporary greenhouses.
Oh, cool.
And we talked about not keeping the water out, so that plastic cover that you can walk in, it modifies the environment. And as long as we have drip irrigation, I tell people that it's California inside the tunnel, it's Ohio outside.
Yeah.
So that's some ways that we can become sustainable and produce a lot of local food. And the idea would be these market gardeners would sell to their neighbors. And so that's from the sustainable standpoint. Social standpoint, it's all about the price you can get to make it worth your while.
Where exactly are the places that you've been testing these techniques? Here, have you been here? Or
most of them, well, I was doing the primary research right here
Uh-huh.
on OERDC or ATI campus. There was an abandoned parking lot
Oh,
that I was
cool,
able
okay.
to use. I also did it up in Cleveland. There's
Okay.
a plot up, I can get there, but I can't remember where it is. It's in Slavic Village. But that also had some asphalt and some regular. And that was initially the idea. We started planting on there and we didn't know what we were doing. The best treatment I learned over the last several years was that cutout treatment. When I put things in big pots, the trees that we used dwarf apple trees, they were 8-foot trees, but they became 11-foot trees. The purpose of having dwarf trees is to pick from the ground.
Oh.
So, you know, you just made them taller.
Yeah.
So when I put the trees in the asphalt, then everything was at a lower, and it was really good. So I like that treatment the best, and all the treatments were productive. The pest population didn't seem to change that much compared to our standard check that was growing on regular urban soil next to the asphalt. So I think you can do it. I think people can grow food on parking lots. Now my parking lot was only about 1/8 to 1/4 acre. Now, you know, if you put that in the middle of a 5-acre Walmart parking lot, maybe heat would be different. And, but I think we've shown that we can grow food any place given some soil and water.
That's really neat.
Enough. There was a recent study done by one of my colleagues here, but they found that if you incorporate all the vacant land, you can feed in Cleveland. You can feed everybody in Cleveland.
Wow,
so we wouldn't have to
really
import or export it. Now you have to have some greenhouses for year-round production, but anyway, we could do it if we had to do it. The trouble is our food distribution system is so efficient because they've worked out all the inefficiencies over the years that it's really tough to compete unless there's a crisis. So I think growing food next to where people is sustainable because you reduce transportation costs, but it's going to be more expensive. Which seems counterintuitive, but relatively speaking, oil prices are still relatively cheap. Well, I think pests are manageable. I think water's readily available. It's the quality of the soil, but in actual fact, as long as you can get some compost, and there should be compost available with all the leaves in the cities, or then you should have decent soil and soil structure. So there's really not much limited. What really limits it is distribution, economics. So there's no biological limit to it, and everything would favor it. But you also, it'd be hard work, and you have to get the appropriate people to do it.